Does Spider-Man Miles Morales still hold up 5 years later? It's been half a decade since Miles Morales released, and with the anniversary upon us, I wanted to see how it's held up. In the moment I started playing again, I remembered exactly why this game grabbed me in the first place, so here's how it holds up. Spider-Man Miles Morales has this special type of energy that pulls me in every time I play, and I felt it again right when I booted up the game and saw Miles walking through Harlem during the opening cutscene. It's his new neighborhood, filled with vibrant, warm, and bursting detail. You're right there with Miles experiencing this new beginning with him. Seeing the beauty of Harlem and feeling this sense of community while Miles walks through reminded me how important this borough is to the story. When Miles gets a text to meet Peter for the convoy and the music starts to ramp up, the excitement and energy flowed into me as one of my favorite sequences in this game was about to begin. Watching Miles eagerly move through the city as the music ramps up into that first swing never fails to hype me up. It immediately showcases his stylish swinging capabilities and the absolutely beautiful visuals the game has to offer. The excitement doesn't stop there, because after that, this first mission ends up being one of the most exciting and fun missions in the game. While Peter handles Rhino, we get to fight as Miles, and since I'm playing New Game Plus, I already have access to all of Miles' abilities. That means from the very first combat encounter, I'm unleashing some pretty crazy venom attacks, electrifying enemies and putting them down faster than the game expects me to at this point. The original game's combat system has always felt smooth and satisfying, but Miles' venom powers elevate it to something more explosive, expressive, and somehow more him. That's more evident to me now more than ever. It's not flashy just for the sake of needing to stand out from Spider-Man PS4. It's purposeful, and it's indicative of who Miles is and where the story plans to take him. Speaking of his powers, I almost forgot about his invisibility powers, which kind of says a lot. Even though the story highlights them in a few key moments, I barely use them in this playthrough. It's a cool mechanic, but I find that it doesn't really have the same impact as the Venom abilities. All of that happens before the real chaos begins. Now, the Spider-Man are riding Rhino, trying to get him to slow down, which is definitely working. Also, there's something that happens in this mall sequence that always felt a bit off, but I kinda just shoved it aside until now. Miles saves a baby in a stroller and is rightfully enraged at Rhino's carelessness, so he slams him through the floor, but there's a guy literally right there, way too close to not catch some debris to the face. Let me go frame by frame here. There's no way bro didn't sustain serious injuries. Miles was not very thoughtful here, so let's just hope that this guy has health insurance. Moments later, Rhino runs into a flammable gas tank, creating a huge explosion, which separates the two Spider-Man and allows Rhino to incapacitate Peter. I still don't know why Miles flips like this, basically letting Peter get slammed into the power transformer. I don't know. But hey, back then, when I played in 2020, it was tough, but now it's just a bit silly. The boss fight with Rhino is good. It's pretty standard as far as boss fights go, nothing that genuinely surprised me even back when I first played it. Look, it's no Sandman boss battle from Spider-Man 2, but the surrounding mission hits hard, and it sets up Miles as a character who is on the brink of greatness and finding himself, and I think the smaller scale battle with Rhino helps illustrate that. After a beatdown, Rhino is dealt with, for now. Miles unceremoniously becomes New York's only Spider-Man, just for a few weeks. What could go wrong? Oh, and Peter gives him a gift in this scene, one of the ugliest suits I have seen to this day. My hype for this game could not save this suit. If I was given that suit, I would think that Peter hated me.
Hi there.
Oh great. This guy again? I do not miss Krieger at all, nor do I find him a memorable villain, if you could even call him that. He's basically just an evil tech bro. With that said, I realize that part of Miles' journey is about protecting Harlem, not necessarily defeating Krieger. We beat up some bad guys and get out of Roxxon Plaza. As Miles leaves, there's an insanely cinematic shot that I hadn't recognized before, and there are a lot of these types of shots in the game. Over the years, my eyes have been sharpened to catch and appreciate these dynamic camera shots a lot more than I was able to before. The storytelling through interpersonal dynamics is very important in this game, and seeing Miles interacting with the people he loves and cares about remains an anchor for the story. We first get a taste of that in the La Noche Buena mission. It's a laid-back mission that focuses more on character building than gameplay, specifically introducing us to Miles' childhood best friend, Finn. I know how most of us feel about playing a mission where we aren't Spider-Man, trust me, I know. But I truly enjoy the non-action missions, especially since Miles' friends, family, and community are the reasons he always gets back up. Some reconnecting happens between Miles and Finn, but unfortunately that does not last long because the next mission kinda throws that out the window. As Miles and Genki head to Rio's rally, I found myself really appreciating the visuals here. I mean, let me be real. I am always appreciating and marveling at how beautiful the game looks, but replaying this mission and seeing the glowing lights, the snowfall, and the staggering amount of detail impressed me, especially coming from a game that's half a decade old. The mission deeply humanizes Harlem and makes me care about it and the surrounding community. This time around, I spent more time exploring the rally and even found a few details I never noticed before. The rally starts and Miles anxiously remembers what happened to his father. And you know what's crazy? The fact that Finn thought it was a good idea to hijack his mom's rally and cause conflict, when she knew what had happened to Miles' father at a community event just a year prior. There wasn't some other event that she could crash, maybe one that's not happening in the neighborhood that Miles and his mom literally just moved to? I don't know how I didn't even think of all this before, but I'm even more puzzled by the fact that the game doesn't address it at all. Chaos ensues, and Miles quickly dispatches the underground. Fast forward to the bridge, Miles tries to be a peacemaker between Roxxon and the underground. That doesn't work, but I don't blame him. He's trying to become a hero in his own right, and what occurs later on in this mission will completely break him down and make him question his identity. It seems so obvious now that Finn was the Tinkerer, and honestly, I can't remember my thoughts when I first played. Was it a surprise to any of you? Leave a comment letting me know. I find it kind of funny how Miles stands in the truck for what seems like forever, not knowing it was about to explode. Finn did hit him pretty hard though, and that's not the last time she's gonna hit him. Jumping back into gameplay, the floating embers and falling snowflakes mixing together while Miles fights on this collapsing bridge is so cinematic. In my opinion, neither of the other Spider-Man games have such a great atmosphere like this. After the Finn reveal, Miles feels the crushing weight of responsibility for not knowing she was the Tinkerer. Despite that, Miles is able to keep his cool while the bridge continues to fall apart. I enjoyed swinging around the bridge and saving all the pedestrians, and I think the scope of this mission is great. It's really nice that Miles gets some good set-piece missions that have an actual impact on the story and world. Miles feels like this whole disaster is on him, and it looks like Roxxon agrees, because they try to end him right then and there. This is the best scene with Miles' invisibility, and I feel like it's the only instance in the story where the ability is used meaningfully. He wasn't just using it to hide from a generic bad guy or to gather intel, but it instinctually activated when his life was on the line and his confidence was shattered after he gave his all to save the people on the bridge. After this catastrophic event, Miles continues to beat himself up as he feels completely demoralized. He feels like he let Peter and his community down because of the destruction that happened. It's especially devastating because of how eager and excited he was to become Spider-Man and take on that responsibility. Genki says something quite impactful here, which hits a lot harder now. He says, whenever you say Spider-Man, you always mean the other one. You're Spider-Man. You can fix this. Your way. What follows is the single best sequence in the game, hands down. I have watched this sequence probably several dozen times over the years. It is so incredibly well made. It's not just another hero montage. It's something that revitalizes Miles as a character and adds to the player experience. As Miles and Genki design and test the suit, we see little glimpses of Miles' finished suit in action, and those cinematic shots build anticipation masterfully. Now that Miles is beginning to own who he is as Spider-Man and finally designed a suit that actually looks good, he carries a newfound sense of confidence and ownership as he steps out into the world on his own. For the entire game up until this point, we've been in Peter's shadow, but this moment, Miles swinging through the city in his new suit feels like he's finally embracing what makes him, him. That really resonates with me because I've recently reached a point in my life where I could start to embrace myself and just be me. Speaking of stepping out, now is the perfect time for us to take a few moments to talk about the open world and the side content the game has to offer. Spider-Man Miles Morales certainly doesn't reinvent the wheel when it comes to its open world, but that's not a bad thing. As long as I feel like I'm Spider-Man when I'm out there, I'm good. Generally, the open world activities are split into two categories, combat and swinging. Almost all of the things that you can do in the open world incorporate one if not both of these elements. Sounds awesome, right? It is awesome until you find out that 1/3 of the available activities are just different variations of gathering collectibles, which isn't the most heroic thing to be doing. When I initially played and was simply excited to be in the world, discovering collectibles added to my experience, but 5 years later, it's something I would rather skip doing. Don't be sad though, there is one special set of collectibles in this game that you unlock in the third act, the sound samples from Uncle Aaron. I'm happy to announce that the rest of this video will be dedicated to the sound samples in the amazing final beat. Okay, I'm kidding. It's straight up trash. Who greenlit that? Since I love the combat in this game, the underground hideouts and Roxxon labs are always enjoyable. They break up my swinging sessions with some good Spider-Man action. It's not a whole lot different than the first game's combat, but Miles' Venom powers make things much more fluid and engaging. And now I can really see how important Venom is to both the story and gameplay. As for swinging, look, I could make an entire video covering that. Maybe I should. It's fantastic in this game. Miles' swinging style mixed with his large assortment of tricks makes swinging so incredibly fun. I'm still way more likely to return to Miles Morales for swinging in combat than the first game, or even Spider-Man 2. Outside of that, you've got your standard crimes and challenges, and I appreciate challenges specifically because they all revolve around Spider-Man's abilities, combat, stealth, and swinging. And they actually provide a bit more challenge compared to the rest of the game. While we're here, I also wanted to talk about the visuals. I love the wintry Christmas feel with the pink and blue skies, the snow, the ice, the frost on the ground. It's beautiful. I have always adored the visual style of this game, and it still blows me away after all these years. You could say I'm biased, but yeah, go ahead and take a look at my channel. I may just have the teeniest amount of bias. I love seeing the liveliness and the attention to detail in the city. All the shops, lights, and the ornaments in Harlem make the environment feel alive and engaging, which makes swinging even better. It also reinforces the importance of Harlem as a place that is living and breathing, worthy of protection. Standing in the middle of the street, you see the Roxxon Plaza Tower looming over Harlem, threatening their culture and community. The safety and future of Miles' new home rests on his shoulders and his decision about who he's going to be. Miles finds out what Finn's been up to and needs to retrieve her phone to find more info, so he goes to investigate. Uncle Aaron shows up to help him a bit, and then at the end of the mission, he just straight up manipulates Miles, convincing him to use Finn, which is honestly crazy. I never realized how weird and manipulative Uncle Aaron is. It makes sense that his music taste is interesting. Looking back, it doesn't make sense how much impact Uncle Aaron has on the story. He just tells Miles to manipulate Finn, and he essentially does, for a little while at least. We don't see a lot of it, but I enjoy Miles' and Finn's relationship. Seeing them together at the coffee shop gave me hope, because talking things out usually makes things better, right? But Miles decides to lie at the exact moment where he should have been completely honest with Finn. At the same time, I can't entirely blame him, because Finn just said that she was sorry that his mom got hurt at the rally, and that everyone would have been fine if Spider-Man hadn't shown up. Excuse me? Your underground goons showed up to the rally and started shooting first. Literally, look. Both sides were trading shots before Spider-Man even was on the scene, and when he did show up, he stopped the fighting. I don't know if Finn has selective memory or she just wanted to be a liar like Miles, I don't know. These are the types of things I would not have noticed years ago, so yay for maturing. Later on at the underground base, Miles completely plays in Finn's face, acting like he's there to help when he's really about to go put on his suit and beat up all of her friends. Crazy work, Miles. Crazy work. Miles heads to the location of the new form, and here comes Finn smacking Miles around again. I don't understand how she's so powerful though. I don't see any of the other underground landing shots on him like this. A chase inevitably happens, but dang, why is Miles letting Finn smack him around like that? Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Finn tells Miles to back off and that this is between her and Roxxon, while she's actively tearing up the city. Like, I don't think that person in that car is okay. And I feel a little bit weird that Miles just kept chasing after her. I have no idea how I didn't see that before, but I guess I was just too enthralled in the story. Miles is about to get bye-byed by Finn, so he reveals his identity. This feels like the point of no return in the story, right? Both parties are entrenched on their sides, and all that's left to do is have a final fight. Not so fast. There's one more story beat that messes with the players and gives us a little bit of hope for a peaceful resolution because of a team up between Finn and Miles. Remember Uncle Aaron's music? Yeah, that gets introduced here. And at the same time, he's trying to get info from Miles in order to help Roxanne capture the Tinkerer. The next business day, Rhino comes and helps kidnap the duo right as they finally start communicating. A little bit convenient, but it doesn't bother me too much. I know Finn has some underground gear on, but I don't think she should be alive after taking a fall like that. And that leads into another issue I've been thinking about during this playthrough. Finn somehow is evenly matched to Miles when she's just a human with some gear on. I guess you could argue that for the rest of the underground as well. At least with Roxanne, they have a lot more gear on, where it feels realistic for them to go somewhat toe-to-toe with Miles. Krieger antagonizes Miles, which is as creepy as ever. But I'm more concerned about these Roxanne troops. Whatever is going on here seems... I just feel like this scene would not happen to Peter. Let's just leave it at that. But before that sinks in, Miles uses the Mega Venom Blast to break free. This ability is great and it's a lot of fun to use, and it shows Miles' progression as a character, as he's able to control it a lot more than he was earlier in the story. This is a fantastic mission because we see Miles and Finn finally working together. That gives me a lot of hope for a better outcome than what we got. We also get a crazy boss battle with Rhino that doesn't just allow you to spam Venom abilities, which is appreciated. Speaking of boss battles, there's only like 4? Which isn't bad for a short game, but it feels a little bit lackluster. We fight Rhino twice, the Prowler once, and Finn once. As I was writing this section of the script, I kept asking myself, am I forgetting something? It has been a while. So I looked it up and I saw that there's a Hollow Vulture fight that I somehow completely blanked on. I don't count that one as an actual boss fight, but it's a fun little extra. I think the boss fights aren't the game's strong suit, but I think the final fight with Finn is phenomenal. Finn beats up Miles yet again for not letting her kill Rhino. How many beatdowns are we at now? Like 4? Uncle Aaron makes a half-hearted attempt to stop Miles, which only emboldens him more to do the right thing. So yay for Miles for his strength and sticking to his values. He makes short work of his unk and goes after Finn. Now, we have reached the climax of the story. Everything we've talked about and gone through with Miles has led to this moment. Despite his struggles with becoming a hero and finding belonging in his community, Miles exudes strength and perseverance that allows him to break through all the noise surrounding him. How does the finale hold up after half a decade? Is Miles ready for this? Let's find out. Alright, let's do this. This fight is a joy, but not because it leverages difficulty in a compelling way or has interesting mechanics, but thematically, it just works. Especially when we get to phase 2 and Finn still doesn't back down, even though she sees the destruction all around her. This is when Miles decides to lock in and stop Finn. Krieger literally gets on the speaker and exposes the truth that he planned to destroy Harlem, but I guess Finn's rage closed her ears because moments later, she repeatedly punches Miles in the face. Man, I feel bad for Miles, I really do, but at least it allows for him to show his resolve. Finn asks, "You can't win, why do you keep fighting?" And Miles responds, "Because I'm Spider-Man." And from this point, the battle shifts in his favor. Not in terms of strength, because she effortlessly tosses him back in the room like he was nothing, but from a resolve standpoint. At this point, it doesn't matter how much Finn batters Miles, his resolve is stronger. The version of Miles at the beginning of the game who was so eager to help is now truly becoming his own Spider-Man, as he fights for what he believes in. Finn sees the error of her ways a little bit too late, and the reactor is about to explode. I still admire this final sequence because Miles really shows up for himself and his community, and I can see now how important that is to him. I love this shot right here. I remember watching the PlayStation Showcase 5 years ago, seeing this shot, and then getting so hyped when I realized it was for a Spider-Man game. So getting to play the game again and see the scene play out is really nostalgic. Miles is filled to the brim with energy from the reactor, and Finn decides to sacrifice herself to get him away from the city. Which is great and all, but her sacrifice falls flat because she was a bit of a frustrating character. Couldn't she just run up the tower like she did and then throw Miles in the air so he could release the energy? There probably wasn't another way narratively because Finn was basically an extremist at that point, and the only other option would be for her to be thrown in prison afterwards, so yeah. Nevertheless, the moment was meaningful for what it was, and it's a decent end for a character given the circumstances. The community of Harlem steps in to protect Miles from reporters, which is so endearing. These are all the people who Miles impacted in one way or another, which emphasizes the importance of community in this game. Even though Miles crashes into the ground and loses his childhood best friend, he still gets back up, looking as iconic as ever. I mean, look at this shot. Absolute cinema. Now, despite the challenges and loss, Miles is his full, unadulterated self. A few weeks later, Miles recounts the events of the game to Peter and has a strong resolve for what it means for him to be Spider-Man, and Peter affirms him as his own hero. The game ends with a really cool ending swing, and that's it. That's Spider-Man Miles Morales. I am so grateful that this game came out 5 years ago, and honestly, I'm impressed it's maintained such quality. It still feels really special. The visuals, gameplay, the story, all of it has stayed with me. Miles' story has inspired me countless times over the years, cementing the importance of being yourself. It taught me to always get back up and to keep fighting, and that no one can be me. That's my job. The game holds its own, and I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for watching. This video has been a huge undertaking, so I hope you enjoyed it and had a laugh or two. Please make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Have a good one.